Hello, I'm here for another book review, and I put on my fancy dancy headband that I bought a couple weeks ago thinking I'd wear it for a video, and it's just not working for me. So that's gonna go bye-bye. Adios. Alright, today I'm here to talk to you about two books by Sophie Jordan, Reign of Shadows and Rise of Fire. The first book is Reign of Shadows. Alright, did I get that? Okay. So, Sophie Jordan is an author that I hadn't heard of before, but I got to hear her speak along with Victoria Aveyard at an event. And I was really intrigued by the stories and what she was talking about in connection to these two books. So I purchased both of them, and she was able to sign both of them for me, which was really fun. And I also learned that Sophie used to be a teacher, which is nice because, hey, I'm a teacher and teachers are awesome. So I was really intrigued by her books, and this weekend I was able to finish both of them, and I really loved them. I have to say, she's got the feels going on in this book. And even like by the third chapter of the first book, I was feeling the feels, which is rare. Usually you don't get into that till later in the story, so that was kind of fun. We have two narrators in this book, and they flip-flop back and forth between Luna and Fowler, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one of those. Luna is a princess. She was born on the eve of a blackout, and this blackout has been going on for 17 years now. She's now 17 years old, and her parents were killed when the blackout began. Everybody thinks that they were attacked by creatures called dwellers that come out when the blackout comes. But in truth, there was a guy who is just a bad guy, and he murdered them. Luna is able to escape because, as a baby, two very kind people that had worked with her, Perla and Sivo, I think is the guy's name. Anyway, they take her to a tower deep in the woods, and what happens is that she's almost like Rapunzel in that she's in this tower in the woods, and she has to stay there, and she has beautiful long hair. That's kind of where their similarities to Rapunzel end. Luna, yes, I better tell you this. You find out by like the third chapter anyway. She's blind, and so that comes with its own challenges. Now, she is not supposed to go out into the Black Woods where this tower is, because there's dwellers out there, and they're kind of like those moles that have the feelers coming out the ends of their faces. They're kind of creepy looking, but they're more humanoid, but with mole faces. I don't know. Anyway, dwellers live kind of under the earth, but they come out at the darkest times. There's 1 hour of day during this eclipse time for these 17 years called midlight. So 1 hour a day, you get a little bit of light. And that's when people feel the safest, because the dwellers usually go back underground. At any rate, Luna is supposed to stay in this tower, but she sneaks out, as all teenage protagonists tend to do. So what happens one time is when she sneaks out, she stumbles on a trio of young people, one of whom is hurt, and she actually saves them from the dwellers by shooting an arrow at one, which is kind of amazing because she's blind, so she relies on all of her senses to help herself survive, and she brings them back to the tower with her. The two younger people in the group are brother and sister, and then there's this guy Fowler. He's our other narrator, and we soon learn that Fowler, he's not related to those two younger people. He's not in connection with them in any way. He's just happened along them and said, oh yeah, you can travel with me for a little bit. Fowler, however, he's all about getting to this island called Alu, where there's supposedly no dwellers. And we get into more of his backstory as the book goes on, and I'm not going to tell you all of what happens with his backstory because I want you to be able to read it, and I don't want to spoil a lot. But in essence, some things happen, and Fowler and Luna end up together having to travel through the forest, trying to get to safety somehow, and Fowler has pledged that he's going to take care of Luna and keep her safe. They have lots of action, adventures, and of course there's interaction between the two characters, which brings on the feels. And this first book ends in a cliffhanger. Okay, when you get to the end, if you don't have the second book sitting right next to you on your table, you might freak out because it's like, what? Yeah, I have to read the next one. So I'm kind of glad that I waited till the second one came out before I read the series, because otherwise I would have been freaking out. Second book, Rise of Fire. So we pick up right where that cliffhanger ending left off and go into some more adventures with Luna and Fowler, and how can they keep each other safe? Can they get along? Fowler's very closed off, and Luna wants them to become friends and, perhaps more, and there's a lot of stuff going on. In this book, there are still dwellers. There's still creatures that they're trying to escape, and there's also some political action, so there's new kind of enemies. We meet some new characters, and I don't want to tell you who they all are, but I will tell you the one that I hated the least was Chasen. And he's not even 100% a great guy, but he has some redeeming qualities. Between Luna and Flower in the second book, there is some making out scenes. Just be warned if you're not into that. Nothing that crosses the line, I think. But there's definitely lots of kissing going on. And at the end of this book, it does seem like an ending. I don't want to tell you what that ending is, but I kind of doubt there will be a third book because this seems pretty wrapped up and kind of a well-done ending. So I would highly suggest that you read these two books, and I think that if you are a fan of Sarah J. Maas or Victoria Aveyard or even Veronica Roth, you would like these books. They're lots of fun, adventure, and even a little dystopian feel because of the whole next world feeling that comes with the blackout. So take a look at Reign of Shadows and Rise of Fire by Sophie Jordan. Head to your library or your bookstore and see what you can find. Adios.